Pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to films I should have talked about years ago. So here we go with some new stuff here. And more importantly, it's probably about time that I go ahead and talk about a bit of a epidemic, or could I say pandemic related film out there. It's about time that I talk about one of the many examples that have been shown throughout the past year or so that are based on pandemics or epidemics or other sort of viral contamination related dramas that have been taking place. I'm specifically talking about one in particular that was based off of the real life Ebola outbreaks from 2014. 93 Days. This film, I will say, at least for a 2016 film, it's probably nothing too special, but at this point it is fair for me to point out that I probably should talk some more about these things. Even though I've already left a few messages on them before, it's about time that I basically go and give my share, my hot take on what these kind of films are like when watching them today at a time where we're losing millions of people because of some newer viral outbreaks that have been happening for over a year. Not even two, actually. So it's been a while already. But we're still facing quite a few difficulties with this. Quite a few difficulties. But yet, you know what? There's a big difference between Ebola and nCoV. Really big difference. Because unlike nCoV, Ebola is in fact capable of doing way more damage to the body than you might think. It's one of those kind of viruses that make you bleed from the inside out. Profusely. And any kind of orifice will be affected. They'll pretty much become blood falls. The way that this film actually goes as far as to depict the Ebola outbreak of 2014 in gruesome detail really shows that the reality that we're always going to be facing is right before our very eyes. And we don't even have to be on the scene of an actual infection taking place where somebody is dying because of a viral outbreak. We have a lot of ways to look out for these things. But yet here we are talking about a film like this. As you might have already guessed, this film takes place in 2014 at the height of the newest Ebola outbreak that had happened at that period in time. Ebola itself is mostly indigenous in certain parts of Africa for the most part. And there have been some cases where it has been carried on over to other parts of the world. So it's a pandemic, if you will. There, of course, is a big difference between a pandemic and an epidemic as well, because, well, while it was contained in most ways, it had been spread to some parts of the world. Ebola, of course, at the time that it was held in Africa during 2014, was unbelievably a nightmare. And whether you want to trust any of this info or not, it's pretty much up to you. Of course, you can always explain for yourself exactly what all of this means, but you can also tell me, what was your life like when the Ebola outbreak of 2014 happened in the comments section below. Now, I watched this film in May 2020. It was just several months after nCoV had been identified and was presumably thought to be a virus that would cause a pandemic throughout the world. But you know pretty much how it works, right? It took 5 months and 16 days after the virus was identified and, well, issued a warning to the world about how it could spread to the world itself and cause a lot of deaths. It took over 5 months for people to realize that the truth does not play around. A virus is not a hoax. And therefore, lockdowns were administered. Finally, that's exactly what we needed, because I'm sick and tired of people thinking that viruses cannot kill people when they really can. So, Ebola, of course, is no joke either. nCoV, of course, has killed millions of people already. Ebola, however, it's actually been around way longer than 2014. Even though the 2014 outbreaks were probably the best remembered in recent history, We'll never truly forget how Ebola was a huge, huge deal way back in the day. But this film, in fact, does show that even with the likes of a large group of friends, a ton of patients that take place, lots of doctors, nurses, and other medical specialists at hand, there really is always the likelihood that as time passes, anything can happen. Viruses are unpredictable pieces of nature, and man, do they not let up. It's fair for me to say, especially after watching a film like this, plus a couple other pandemic-related films out there, that it certainly is quite a trendy topic. Even to this day, we still do have these kind of things at hand because, let's just face it, we already have one virus, but yet there are more of them. And presumably we might be seeing more variants show up on this world and probably cause even more destruction before our very eyes. I couldn't even kid around with this stuff if I tried. But you know what? I will give credit to those people who worked with this film. And the way that this actually does give us quite a bit of a satirical feel while also explaining how serious of a problem this can be in reality. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and give it a scoring of 6.5 out of 10. Not necessarily the best that we could have gotten in any sort of pandemic film, because I'll tell you what, another pandemic film out there is way, way better. And for a variety of reasons, but you know what? I'll save that for tomorrow. So if you want to see more, go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.